Hi everyone, Jay Johnson here with dailytexture.com. This morning I am working on kind of a little different project. I just got done taking about 12,000 photos of hummingbirds. We have a massive migration happening this year, and so I want to use some of my hummingbird photos with my textures and backgrounds. And this is one of the new autumn water whispers textures or backgrounds, scenic backgrounds. And this is the Shades of Autumn texture. Both of these are on sale to the end of September. And I wanted to integrate my hummingbirds with some autumn backgrounds. But if I put a hummingbird in a background like this, the background is kind of busy and it's a large scene, so the hummingbird would be very tiny. And I want to focus on the hummingbird. So what I did was open up one of the Shades of Autumn textures, put it on top, opened the Autumn I haven't had enough coffee apparently, Autumn Water Whispers textures or backgrounds, and I put it underneath. So what I'm going to do on this top layer is something very simple that makes something really cool. I'm going to use an ellipse selection here. I've got ellipse and I have feathered it out as far as it would go. And since I have this placed on the top half, which I can resize this layer here, see it's stretched. This is the normal size of the picture, sized down just a little bit. I could resize this to cover the whole thing if I wanted to, but I like it right here. I didn't want it too small because then it wouldn't show up the way I'm going to show you. So let's get back on this layer, the Shades of Autumn, back to the ellipse. So you can do whatever kind of selection type you have. I have rectangle, square, rounded things, ellipse, circle, and so forth. I like the ellipse, but by feathering it 200%, I can get in here and I can get a selection, and I want a fairly large selection, but I've got to watch my feather that it doesn't go off the screen. I think this is down a little bit too low, and oh no, that's good. That's good. Once I've selected an area, I just hit delete, which takes away that part of the texture, revealing the scenic background beneath it. So I'm just going to right click that and shut that off. Now what I can do is I can save this to use as another background if I want to with something else, but I want to put my hummingbird large size in here. What I'm thinking about doing with this is making a garden flag with it. So I need the long vertical orientation for this. And I'm going to, the texture is a little dark shade of red. I'm going to see if I can brighten that up some. Let's see how bright I can go. Oh, that's too bright. There we go. That's a little richer. So I'm playing with brightness and contrast. That's too bright. Ooh, that really changes it. I don't want it too garish. I'm just playing with these numbers here with my sliders. And let's click OK on that and see what happens. Okay, I like that a little better. It brightened it up just enough where I feel it has that pop that I'm looking for. So now I will merge these layers into one, and then I will open this in Topaz. And I might have to readjust my video screen after this gets open, maybe not. I like to use that Topaz program to do my masking. It's very easy. I wish they still had that program out so everybody who doesn't have it could use it for the masking. And I'm going to let this load up. And then I'm going to find my hummingbird, which is in here, and luckily, since I have so many photos, I wrote down the number of the particular picture I was interested in using. 9161. There it is. So it's this bird right here that I'm interested in using. So I'm going to resize this up. I'm going to see how big I can go, and I'll maybe even a little bigger if I can go bigger. That looks like it'd be pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and merge that because I've realized with this old program, sometimes when you resize it up and you mask away, it leaves some funky little artifacts in there. So I always merge it. Now put this. So the hummingbird is now on top of this. And I can start masking away. First, I'm going to adjust his clarity a little bit. Well, first I'm going to make sure I'm on the right layer, which I'm not. So we're going to have to cancel out of that and get on the right layer. Because right now it's going to adjust clarity on the background. There we go. All right. And that just boosts up his color and his feather detail a little bit. So I'm going to hit OK. Could have done the same thing with a sharpen and a hue saturation adjustment, but clarity is another old program that just does it really quickly. And because I've upscaled it some and because I'm shooting at a high ISO, I'm also going to reduce the noise a little bit. So I'm going to go to denoise just to smooth them out a little, get rid of some of the little artifacts from the original picture. See all those little artifacts? We're going to go with strong. And I always like to look at the eye. I don't want to lose the detail in the eye. Let's go with strongest. It takes out some of them. So we'll let that process. That just kind of smooths things out a little. My husband is obsessed with these flags, the garden flags. He's changing ours out all the time at our house. And he said something to me recently about, why don't you make a flag, which I can do. I actually use Zazzle for most things that I make. They're kind of on the pricey side. Their flags are kind of pricey, but they do very good quality items. For resale, probably not the greatest. Some things are priced low enough where you can resell. I won't resell flags. They're priced too high. But I will order one for ourselves here. So we can hang a flag with my art on it. Alright, so his processing is done and I'm ready to mask away his green background. So I'm going to go to a masking brush, start with a really big brush just to get most of it out, get up as close to him as I can, get rid of these guys, that are in the picture. Make sure to go over the edges. Now I'll have to get a little smaller in here. I just get as close as I can without going over like I normally do. And then as I get closer, I'll make the masking brush smaller. And I'm masking at using a super soft brush. The hardness is all the way down. I'm going to zoom in a little and reduce the brush size. And I'm also masking at full opacity at this point in time. Trying to make sure to get rid of all of the background. Little by little. I really enjoy this process. It's very meditative to sit here and do this. I like to do this in the morning when I'm having my coffee. Alright, I need a much smaller brush. And I'm going to turn on this edge aware, which is, it'll keep me from going over the edges of the bird. If you're using Photoshop, you can select the bird out using their selection tool. And when you do either one of these, whether you have this old program like I do and you're doing this, or you do the selection tool in Photoshop, a lot of times you'll get some rough edges around the subject, kind of sharp. You can refine that. And I always go over the edges of the subject after I do this part and get up as close as I can to basically fade in the edges of the subject with the texture background. Just helps the blending a little better. And I do that with a lower opacity masking brush. And it gets rid of the little halo that may still be around the edges of the subject when you go over the edges with the lower opacity brush. There's a little spot right there inside of his toes. And I'm just getting as close as I can at this point without going over. But there is a little, let me zoom in a little closer. You can see there's a very sharp edge there. And there's some green popping through the wings that he's picking up from the background, because the hummingbirds have a lot of transparency to them. So whatever's behind them is going to show up in their coloring, which is another reason why I like to go over it with a lower opacity brush in a second here to bring that background through the subject. And I'm going to turn off edge aware, lower the opacity of the brush. I don't need a really big brush size right now, maybe a little smaller than that. Just keep that opacity down kind of low. I might need a little bigger brush than that. Trying to get it on 3. It's kind of very sensitive. Oh my goodness. I could just type it in, I know, but alright, now I'm just going to go right along where these hard edges are showing up, which is basically masking away that part of the subject at a low opacity and bringing that color into the subject. You'll see that more when we get to the wing. That's real green. I'm going around the head, but notice how I'm taking away that hard line. Now, if I feel like I gave him too much of a haircut, I can go the other way with the masking brush and bring some of it back. And you can go in with a very tiny brush. Let's get down to 1 here, just where that hard line is. Go back and get rid of that. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to raise the brush size up a little. And I'm still at a low opacity, but I'm getting ready to go over this wing. The reason it's green is this transparency. It was pulling the green from the original background through the wing. So if it's transparent, it should pull this autumn color through the wing. So I'm just going to gently brush over it to bring some of that autumn color in there. And I may get rid of too much of the wing. Then I go back the other way, adjust the opacity a little bit. But it's actually showing a little hint of that autumn color through the wing, along with the leaves that are in that autumn background. It may still be a little green, and I'll have to see if I can adjust that. I'm going to go around the rest of him right now to get rid of the hard edges. Let's go with a little smaller brush. Any little sharp looking areas, I'm just trying to soften up a little by masking right over those edges. Down here at the bottom. Here's a spot right here by this bottom feather that's pretty harsh. There we go. Get that toned down by masking. And I'll even go over his foot a little bit completely. It softens it, but you can still see it's there. The eye will give enough of a visual hint to the viewer that there's a foot there or feathers there or whatever. And go under this beak on this side. Now, I'm going to make a lower flow or opacity, bigger brush size, and I'm just going to tap around this wing, which is really white, to bring some of that red color in over top of it. Even this wing, it's bringing some of those colors in to the bird, just tapping. Even this white area here, I can tap on that, which helps tone down that highlight a little and bring that color in. And even the top of his head. Now let's zoom out. That looks pretty good. I'll zoom back in a little, because I still think I need to go over this a little. So I'm going to tap these. Like I said, you just need a hint of it showing the tips of the feathers and things. The viewer will put this all together. Now let's zoom back out. Now I have room here for words. And I have a little room up here for words, but it depends on, I'm going to use this for a flag. So on Zazzle, you have the ability when you design something to add text to the image right in their viewer, right in their program. So rather than adding words to this on the front end, and it may not fit correctly, or the words may go off the edge, I would save the image first and then go add the words when I take the image over there into their program. And that way I can make sure everything fits, and they have a lot of cool font choices, some which I don't have. And so I'll be able to make a really nice flag design and put whatever words I want to, either something up here or something down here. I do see a little spot somewhere in here. You can see it on the mask. There's a little spot there. I'm going to see if I can mask away above the bird and get rid of that. There it goes. And there might be some right in here that I've missed. Try to get all of that out. I can adjust the size of the bird more if I want to make him even bigger. Or I actually liked him the size he was. I don't want his wing going off the edge. I can move the bird where I might want to. I can flip him around if I want him facing the other direction. Let me just try that. See, because when I do my birds, when I mask away my subjects, I like my subjects facing toward the left. I don't know if that's because I'm right-handed or what, but I like them facing that way when I do the masking, but sometimes they might look better in the design facing the other way, so I can just flip that bird layer. And keeping in mind this will be on a flag, do I want him facing outwards? Like if the flag was hanging and the pole was over here, he'd be facing inwards. I think I want him facing outwards, like this. So if the pole is here and the flag is hanging on it, he'll be facing out. I think I like that orientation better for my intentions for this piece of work. But one of the main reasons I wanted to do this video today was to show you this technique, which some people, it just doesn't dawn on them. It didn't dawn on me for a long time. Take the plain texture, one of our textures, then integrate the background into it instead of having to mask a subject directly into the background, which is also possible, but sometimes it just, you like the image, but it doesn't really fit with the subject in the manner you like. So this is a way to integrate both by using what I call a plain texture. It's obviously not plain, but it's not a scene. So by blending a texture with a scene, you can create a whole new look. And I have been doing this all month so far with these shades of autumn textures. I have been using the ellipse to get areas out and to reveal something else underneath to make several different prints and things in a different way. And by using the ellipse with having the feather on it, it really softens it as it fades in. I mean, you could even, if you didn't want to mask a subject in here, you could even make something like this and then just add a poem or words for cards or whatever in there. But I would, save this as its own image right within the texture and scenic sets that you used. Save it like this in case you want to add a different subject later. And then here's the subject I've chosen to add today, and I will save this as well. In the adjustments, I'm going to see the bird's super green, and that's fine, but there's a little bit more warmth in here, and I'm just going to see if I can warm him up just a little by adjusting his tone. That's a little too yellow. Or I could try another effect using one of these other things that Topaz has available. But any way you can adjust color tones to your subject is something to think about if you want to tie it in with the background a little better. Temperature, tint, saturation. Look at that. I can make him super saturated. I can lower the saturation. Can make him a little warmer. I mean, that's just a very slight adjustment, but it helps to tie things in a little better. And then I always merge it to make sure there's no weird places where I might have missed masking, because it will flash on the screen after I merge. It will show the difference between the two. Nothing flashed, nothing showed up, so I can turn this off and on and it looks exactly the same. The merged image versus what's underneath it that's not merged. So I have created a really fun image here for a flag with my hummingbird. And being that I've taken over 12,000 photos, of course I've deleted a lot of those. I had a specific objective with the photos I was taking, and that was to get the birds in movement, the birds in flight. I deleted most of the birds on the feeder shots because I have millions of those, and I was really after the movement shots and the interaction between the birds away from the feeder. So that's why I took so many, and that's why I've deleted a whole bunch. So I don't really have 12,000 on my hard drive anymore. I actually have maybe 2,000 or 3,000 because I've been doing this several days now. So I deleted a lot out of each folder. But now I have a good amount of these birds to work with and to create a really nice series of work involving hummingbirds. And I wanted to tell you, one of my very first original paintings I did, it involved a multitude of hummingbirds in a multitude of poses that I took the photos. I used those photos then in the for my reference in the painting and all the different poses, and I put them all into one painting, and that painting sold right away, and I was so shocked. But it was the hummingbirds that did that, and the theme of the painting. And so I thought, since I now have a better camera and better photos, I can really make a whole bunch of hummingbird stuff. So I may just turn into a hummingbird artist after this. I don't know. But anyway, this one is a great one for autumn. Now that I have merged this, if I wanted to adjust the image as a whole, like saturate it more, desaturate it, I can do that. I can add other layers on top of it if I want to, and shift the lighting and the tone, but I don't really want to. I really like what I've done right here. And I thought you guys might enjoy the tip about using two resources together, the textures and the scenic backgrounds. And you can create your own look that's other people may not be thinking of creating for your own things that you want to do. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this and enjoy that little tip. And as always, please visit the website and sign up for the email list, because that's where you get the coupons you can use to get even better discounts than I offer on the website when I have sales. You get notified of sales. You get notified of new collections first. So please sign up for the mailing list, and I hope you enjoy these collections that are on sale this month at the discounted prices that they're offered at, because they are really great for autumn, these backgrounds, and the pumpkin patch collection too. That's a fun one, and I'm going to be doing a video working with that soon too. With Halloween coming up, I thought that one is a great collection. So as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.